Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the freaking show. It's off field. It's Monday. We were hoping it was going to be a victory Monday. It ain't that. It's a losers Monday. But we can feel a little bit of solace knowing that we've got a winner with us. Jake Plummer is joining us today on Off Field. How are you, Jake?
I'm doing good, Nate. Thanks for calling me a winner, man.
Hey, well, I mean,
Winner.
not just like figuratively, you're a winner in my book, but you're also a winner as a quarterback for the Denver Broncos. 39-15, if I have that correct. Lifetime record as a Broncos quarterback. Pretty fucking good, if I might say so myself.
We had a good team too, man.
Yeah, we did.
I was just
Exactly.
a piece of that puzzle, but
Important piece
Yeah.
at that. But Liv Moo's not here today. She's feeling a little bit under the weather, and BK out doing his thing, covering the Nuggets. And so I'm gonna hold it down. I'm sitting in Liv's seat. I can't wear her shoes. They're too small for me, but I'm gonna do my best and and hold it down right off the bat, Jake. 41-10. The Broncos lose to the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Why? I mean, there's a lot to discuss in this game, and that's why you're here. We're going to discuss that because you're watching these games, you're paying attention, you have a lot of knowledge on both sides of this thing. So, what went wrong for the Broncos in their loss?
well, the second half was just bad,
Nightmarish.
I mean, they were in it, going in at half. Great confidence boost for that last drive. It would have been nice to see him put it in the end zone.
Of the first half, you mean?
Of the first half, yeah, just to end the way they did, and then obviously not let them go back right down and score, which you can't stop some teams like that are just on fire, like Lamar.
But you can. But you sorry to interrupt you as you just start talking. But Sean Payton, in my opinion, mismanages the clock there with under 2 minutes left. You got a minute and 20 seconds left. You're on the 20-yard line or whatever it is, and he calls like a swing pass to Jaleel, and he goes out of bounds. Like you're trying to get the Ravens to burn their timeouts and eat up some clock, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a young team, not knowing the situation, but also having to find balance between are we going to be aggressive and go score, or are we going to manage the clock and hope to put some points on the board? Like, this management of the clock thing can get real easy for us to look at as we're sitting there, possibly eating nachos and drinking a cold drink of any sort, to be like, well, he's mismanaging the clock. But you've been on the sideline and understand, like, sometimes you hey, let's score. We need to score. Managing the clock, like, oh man, you broke away for an 80-yard touchdown and left them too much time.
Well, not that.
I know, but let's just be real about the management of the clock thing. Yeah, maybe he can take off some seconds, but I don't know if they scored in like 25 seconds or something, like 30. It was big play, touchdown. Like, let's tackle. Let's make it harder for them as a defense. Let's not worry so much about a coach's job of managing the clock rather than like the players stepping up and making plays. I mean,
of course, but isn't it both? Like when you were talking before we got on the air. Is this the air?
It's air we're breathing. Yeah.
Before we got on camera, before we started rolling, you were saying, yeah, dude, this offense is so fucking good. Like, how are you going to keep pace with these guys? They're the best in the world right now. So yeah, you need the players to make plays, but you also need to make smart coaching decisions. And to me, a minute and 23 seconds left. I'm sorry, a minute 20 seconds left. You're on the 12. You need to chew clock. You're not trying to eat up yards anymore. You're on the 12.
Yeah.
And it's first down. Let's chew some clock, right?
Well, they did. They gave it to the fullback.
No, that was after that one where they just got pushed out of bounds.
Yeah. So, but it's still like a fullback. I didn't know we had a fullback, and that even was still a position. But
right.
For me, it's score, get a touchdown. I don't really, do my job as an offense is not to manage the clock necessarily, is to put the ball in the end zone. We're coached and taught how to do that, how to go slower, how to use all the play clock, so we don't leave them any extra. We're not dealing with Tom Brady on the other side of the ball, who, if you left him 1 second with 0 timeouts, down 82 points, they'd find a way for him to win. This is an offense, though, that hey, we're seeing the beauty of having not only a mobile, accurate, solid quarterback, but also a dominant running back. You know what it can do to a defense that was playing really well. So personally, I just think a touchdown there, whether they hold them or not, it's just a confidence to go into that second half, which that was where everything went wrong. I mean, the first half I thought was pretty good, a couple missed opportunities. And again, when you're you're playing against a team like the Ravens, they're going to capitalize. You just can't miss opportunities, and that's going to happen. But the overthrown ball was a touchdown opportunity, and then one-handed attempts in the back of the end zone really suck when guys are trying to make highlights rather than 7 points. And so there's little opportunities there.
You're talking about LJ Humphrey going up in the end zone?
Yeah.
You think that he could have got both
the
hands
guy
on
wasn't holding his left hand. Yeah. I mean,
and got his feet down?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I mean, that's what I'm hoping he's paid to do. I mean, it's what, the guys the teams that are sitting at the top of their division, the guys are making those plays. And that's no knock on him at all. It's just you do have two hands. Look at Bo Nix. He showed him how to go get a ball. The ball's hanging in the air. You don't wait for it. He jumped up and made that play. I mean, that's a guy that wants it. Give me a chance, man. Give the ball near me. I'm going to go do whatever it takes to bring it in. I'm not going to try to make a highlight reel. Whether he was thinking that or not, it did look like, maybe you jump and put two hands up.
You're talking about LJ Humphrey in the back. And LJ has had a lot of opportunities. He was the guy, let me look at it.
He did use one hand early in the game too.
He had
perfect tip drill.
Well, no, he actually put two up, but they just kind of
hit off of one. I mean, that's tough.
Second play of the game.
That sucks, because he made a good throw, and just those things are going to happen. And
so my question to you is, like, as a quarterback, when you have a guy like that, LJ Humphrey, who the coach clearly likes, he's a very versatile player. He plays a lot of special teams. He's a big-bodied receiver.
Man, he's a good-looking player.
Yeah, he's a good-looking player. Runs well with the ball in his hand. Blocks well and that kind of thing, but something's missing from the connection. Last week he had a couple that were kind of just so close but not there. First, second play of the game goes to him, pops up, changes the momentum of the game right off the bat. And then that one in the end zone, and there's just a couple instances. Do you start not looking at him? Like, how does it work for you as a quarterback?
No, I mean, I would just approach him and say, hey, let's rep that again and try using two hands this time. And hey, have a DB hold one arm and fight through that. I think there's such a quick flag sometimes when there's a hand on the body and guys want to let that, okay, he's got my arm, I'm going to go like this. Well, these guys are strong too. Like, let's see, like, you rip your arm free and go make it. And then we're putting a lot of focus on one play that would have been a phenomenal catch.
Right.
But it's like, all these guys want to be phenomenal, right? They want to be the best. So that's how you do it. You watch Megatron, you watch Chris Carter, you watch some of the best that ever played. They make the catch you don't expect them to make. And that's what makes them great. And so does he have that ability in his body? He's super talented. How do you draw it out of him? That's a relationship you have to manage being a quarterback. I always would go to guys and say, hey man, I'm going to keep coming to you. I need you to go make that catch. That's the catch you got to make, and for some younger players, they need to hear that. Rod Smith, no, I wouldn't have to say that to him. He's going to do everything he can. If he didn't make it, he'd come tell me, hey man, that's my bad. I'll make that next time. But those are relationships you manage. But the point of that, bringing that up, was like those opportunities, you got to keep making the exceptional plays. Like that Cat Flowers did for Baltimore when he caught the ball reverse field and made 6 Broncos miss him and took it the distance. Like, no one expected that. Right. Some guys would have caught it and just gone and dove. I'm going to get hit and go down. And we see that sometimes. And only they know that. And everybody that watches the video, and analyzes it, they know it too. When a guy is going to go get an extra yard or two for you, or he's going to catch it and kind of go down because he thinks he's getting hit.
So who's that guy for the Broncos right now who's going to go get that extra?
Vele is like, dude, I would get the ball in that cat's hands.
Throw that last comment up on the
Vele wants it. He went and made that huge third down reception where the ball was underthrown. He came back and got it. Yeah. And then we didn't see him much, and it's like, that's okay. And I hate when you say like, the favorites. Oh, that's one of Peyton's favorites. Man, listen, my favorite players were the guys that got on the field and made plays. I didn't give a shit if they were nice guys, good guys, Christians or not. get on the field and make a play for me, because really what it comes down to is winning ball games. That is it.
But you don't think that coaches have favorites?
Yeah, they do have favorites,
Okay.
and it sucks.
Yeah.
That's what sucks.
And you think that's
so
what sort of
Vele,
happened?
maybe if Vele's not his favorite, then he only gets a target or two. But like, this cat wants it. You can see that he wants it. So does LJ Humphreys. I mean, he wants it. But we're seeing signs of like, okay, you're getting your opportunities, and some of them are coming back, but some aren't. I mean, even Franklin, some of these young cats, we didn't see the tight end Bowman much at all.
Who?
And yet, is it 82? What's 82's last name? Tight end.
Troutman.
Troutman. I'm not good with remembering all their names.
It's all Bo for you. It's Bowman, Boner, Boter.
He had a huge game 2 weeks ago, and then he wasn't around this game. And so
one catch for 4 yards, one target.
Yeah,
zero.
And that happens. That happens. And when you're behind, you're throwing the ball more and maybe using him for protection, because they had to deal with that other cat, Hamilton, on the other side of the ball, who's a dynamic player. And it comes down to guys being consistent and having dynamic playmakers, and we're seeing guys step up. We're seeing it.
So as a quarterback, what is the value of having a tight end that you trust, that's a good, that understands the game, that presents a friendly target? How valuable is it for a quarterback, especially a young one, to have a reliable tight end?
Look back through the history of the game, the greatest quarterbacks that ever played, the Hall of Famers, all had tight ends that were badass and got open and could block, run block, pass block, and could get open in those moments when they needed them. And they weren't one guy tackling them, getting them down. They were badass mofos that were taking the ball. So I think it's huge to have a tight end that you can trust to do all sorts of things. Bring him back as a fullback to block a lead block, motion him out to wide out, especially with the mobile quarterback and being able to have a decent run game, enough to where they can boot Bo out. It's huge to have a tight end that you can trust, that can run and get the ball for you coming across on those boot plays.
So the Broncos were 9.5-point underdogs going into this game. After being double-digit favorites the previous week. I like overdogs, right? They were overdogs against the Panthers, and they covered. Those overdogs covered. And then they're not underestimated, but underdogs going into this game, 9.5 points. They're both 5-3. Both teams are 5-3. Broncos 9.5-point underdogs going on the road to the East Coast, playing in a morning East Coast game. How difficult is it for you to get ready to play an East Coast morning game when you're a West Coast team? What's that process like? Can we blame a little bit of that on why the Broncos sucked yesterday?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it all depends on how your team carries itself.
What did you do to get ready for?
Well, they went out a day early, from what I understand. Yeah. So you get there a day early, you get a chance to I don't know. I don't know if I would have liked that.
I don't think. Does that really get you acclimated in a day?
There's some coach that did it and had success, so everybody believes it.
I think Sean Payne just likes staying in nice hotels.
Possibly.
No, I'm serious.
That could be.
We're staying in the Ritz. We're staying in the Greenbrier for a week between the last, those two East Coast games.
Yeah.
I think you just like staying in nice hotels, man.
Maybe so. I mean, no, I don't mind staying in a nice
hotel.
That's
what I'm saying. If I was running the show, I'd be like, yep, we're going to.
But I like my comforts at home, too. I like my routine here where you're at home instead of going a day early. Either way, East Coast games, we played a lot of them when I was with the Cardinals, and you'd play Philly and New York. And those early games, those were hard. Sometimes it's colder than where we were coming from, obviously in Arizona. So you got to get up earlier. Early there is real early back home. So if you're not an early riser, or you struggle in the morning, or if if that's just your mode of operation,
modus operandi, if you will,
sort of something like that, it could be tough. But you can't make excuses, because it's like we want to talk about all these battle terms. We talk about playing football. Well, you don't get a chance to have a midday start to a battle. It just happens. So are you ready to go? If you're a player and you know how to prepare, then it's not an excuse. No, because I think they came out and played really well in the first half.
Their first half was much
Henry
better.
Wasn't getting any yards. They were all flowing downhill. And then all of a sudden, the tackling issues. There was definitely tackling issues yesterday that I hadn't seen, which touting this defense. It's a great defense under a bunch of no-namers ran by Vance Joseph, who's a great coach. Those are things you can fix. That's just tackling,
Yep.
taking better angles and just rallying as a team. And not, some of me thinks though that some of these guys are scared to hit you properly, because we see like guys get smashed, get tackled hard, and there comes a yellow flag, and you're like, wait, that was just a great hit. Like the dude put his shoulder into him, but it's like a bad hit now can be a good tackle, and a good solid hit can now be penalized. And so why did that Flowers cat not get reamed? Well, maybe those guys are concerned. And in that case, let's just pay their fines for them, like let's reimburse them for their fines if it's a good tackle. And I don't know, if you see that along.
No, I did. There was a lot of missed tackles. Yeah. And for the Broncos
whatever reason
yesterday, that's why like you give up 41 points and the instinct is to point the finger at Vance Joseph. But to me, guys were in position.
Yeah.
They weren't just making the play. And like, I do think that has a lot to do with some of the shit you see on the field now is guys getting afraid to get fined by making a big hit. Yeah. Where back in the day, the big hit used to be like, as far as you throwing the ball down the field and getting a guy laid out or whatever, that used to be you getting your guy laid out used to be the deterrent for doing that.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to put him in harm's way because of what happens. But now the instinct is, oh, he's going to get a flag, so I can do that. I can just throw him out there. Interesting thing happened in a game yesterday between the Panthers and the Saints. I don't know if you're paying attention to that, but Chris Olave got absolutely destroyed. Kind of coming across the middle. It was like a deep in situation. And Derek Carr threw him a ball, and he got hit really, really hard by a safety. And then Michael Thomas, who was at home, who used to play for the Saints, clearly doesn't like Derek Carr, and started tweeting about like how garbage Derek Carr is and how he should get his ass whipped for laying him out like that, and like how egregious that was, and just talking a lot of shit to Derek Carr on Twitter. And of course that blows up and becomes a thing, and then Derek Carr has to answer for it later in a press conference and say like, dude, like, I don't know why he hates me so much. I've got along with all my old teammates except for him for some reason, and I wish him the best, but I don't care for him saying that kind of stuff. Like, of course I'm not trying to lead my guy into harm's way. That was the read. That's where I was supposed to throw the ball, and the safety made a great play, closed on it, and hit him. And Chris Olave's had like 5 concussions now.
Oh.
Yeah, he just keeps getting these hits
tough.
And putting himself in vulnerable positions. But do you think that the way that they legislate the game is contributing not only to poor tackling, but also to guys being more vulnerable down the field if a guy does decide to hit him?
Yeah, it's hard. I have to watch a lot more football than I do to really dive into that and answer it. But I see it in the ball that I watch. I see guys, especially quarterbacks, the crafty ones can eke out 4 more yards by feinting like, oh, I'm going to go out of bounds, feinting like they're going out, but then they like sneak down for 3 more, and the guy's like, yo, if I hit you, I'm going to get a flag. If I don't, you're going to get 4 more yards. Kind of sucks for those defenders. I feel for them. And if it's guys coming up with hesitancy, it's probably worse for injuries than you could imagine. Because this game is meant to be played full speed, and if you come in and you crash somebody hard, there are instances where you see guys that come in, and I don't know why they don't do this more often, is when their arms are back and down at their side and they're coming in like this. That should be flagged, because you're not trying to tackle. You're actually becoming a missile projectile trying to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Tackling is when you come in and you use your arms. You come in and wrap up. You come in and you may lay the wood and put the helmet, shoulder, and a little bit of the helmet into them, but you're wrapping up with that. And that's a good tackling form. And we see guys come up now and more like try to push or, not really come in for that solid John Lynch tackle. John could hit you hard and also tackle your ass really well and bring you down. So the game was focused on that a while back, teaching the heads up tackling technique and all this BS to make the game, quote unquote, safer. It's not a safe game. This Olave receivers had 5 concussions. Is that safe? No, he's still getting his brain racked.
Yeah.
But did he make the catch? Did the guy no? Did he go up really high for it and try to make an extraordinary
kind of like it went
catch?
up, and then he kind of got twisted and got sandwiched between 2
hands.
guys.
Did he have 2 hands going for it?
I think so. Yeah.
So, that guy wants it. It's sad to see him get concussions.
Yeah.
Yeah, there could be something to that, but I think we're not going to see the Rodney Harrisons anymore. Those crazy ass dudes will come up and make you pay even if you're getting tackled and you're bent over and there's your ribs, they're going to come in and give you a shot in your ribs. 'Cause it was a dirty, nasty game where you would hit as much as you possibly could. But they could definitely, work on watching guys where their arm positioning is when they come in and like make that extra hit. Whatever it is, that's something you can fix. That's something is a remedy for that. It's just getting in better position. And maybe in practice they took a break and didn't get in good position, or they're focused on something else. Like, we faced an offense that is as well-rounded as you could get yesterday. They have a dynamic playmaking MVP quarterback. They have the best running back right now in the league, leading in all the categories. Has never happened. It's first time since Jim Brown, after 8 games, led in every category as a running back. That's a stat they showed yesterday.
Look at you, man.
So like, this dude, as sore as he looked in the first half, in the second half, man, he was flowing and getting the yards. Guys didn't want to tackle him. And then you play action, and how can you stop that? You can't.
Yeah.
I've been in that situation with a downhill running game. It makes it easy to just fake, come up, and throw these like 20-yard gashers down the middle of the field at angles. I mean, we were doing that here in Denver when I was playing. And so that's a hard offense to stop. You stop one aspect of it, they've got an answer. They got another answer. And they were flying yesterday. And hey, they got their asses kicked, but sometimes you learn a lot more about yourselves during the loss, where you need to improve, than you do when you win.
Derrick Henry, 1,000 yards already on the ground, 1,052 yards. After yesterday's game, 6.3 yards per attempt.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah.
He's got a long of 87, 11 touchdowns. He's got 12 big plays, whatever that
He's
is.
scored in every game.
Yeah. He's just a beast, man. Apparently he
Yeah.
doesn't eat until like 4 p.m. every day.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He intermittent fasts every day. He's like vegan. Got to get him on those functional mushrooms, man. Maybe he's already on it.
He probably is. I
Yeah.
mean, the guy's obviously in tune with his health,
Seriously.
keeping his body as
He's
prime
30,
as he
I
can.
think. He's over 30.
Yeah, you don't see running backs that with his style last as long as he has. He looked tender in the first half. Like, there were times where he was just like, oh God, I'm not going to get 6 yards. I don't want to get tackled.
Yeah.
But that second half, that was a different story. He was
Second
laying
half.
the wood, and they were giving him a lot of space. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to talk about philosophies when it comes to going for it on 4th down, because the Broncos clearly had a strategy to be aggressive in this game. Sean Payton, relative to other games, wanted to be aggressive because of the offense that you're facing.
What's that weird? Is that your?
That's how he
Payton?
talks.
Is that
Relative. He always says relative to.
Relative to.
Like, if you hear him, he's like, when you're talking about our offense relative to last game or something. When he's connecting two things, he says relative
Like,
to.
I'm a relative to Homo sapiens. I'm a relative to my
relative
monkeys.
to my relatives.
I'm a
to.
relative to fungi.
Hey, man. Yes. I mean,
Okay.
there's no kind of
I'm
stopping.
a relative to Nate
But
Jackson.
he also says situationally.
Oh,
If he says
Sige.
situation is situations, he says player when he talks about the player.
and he has that
Player-
tone. That
Player, yeah, it's a little bit of a you do this with your mouth. Players and
we're now in the
plays.
comedy hour of Off the Field.
Relative to come on, man. Someone's got to do it, right?
You're good at it. You've always been good
Someone's
at
gotta do
imitating the coaches.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
Means you're paying attention.
ever since I was a little kid. I was like a little bit of a parrot, and it's funny. My son is doing the same shit. Like, we'll say something, he'll be like, "We'll say something," and I'm
You
like,
better clean
"Stop
up
it!"
your
I'm
mouth
like,
then,
you
Nate.
got to stop
Dirty
that.
mouth Jackson. You better clean up your bad
I don't
words.
say potty words. I don't say potty words.
Okay.
Right now, my son is just his favorite words are poop and butt. Poopy butt.
That won't
poopy
change
butt,
for about
butt,
10 years.
Poopy. He tells me
In
this.
10 years, it'll probably be the same thing. Poop and butt and farts might enter into the story.
Oh, the farts are already in the story, man. Farts, poopy, butt, weenie, pee-pee. He does some funny stuff like he tells jokes, but they're not really jokes. Like, he'll be like, knock, knock,
Who's there?
banana peel.
Banana peel who?
Banana peel, poopy butt, 10,000 million talking toilets. That's what he said.
Do a little
Relative to-
relative with some poop and pee.
Relative to poopy, pee-pee, butt, farty, poopy toilet
We were
talkers.
terrible yesterday. Me too.
Look, yeah, listen. He also does that. Like, when you ask him a question, he goes, yeah, listen. And then he'll do a long pause.
Do all
Like,
the media go?
yeah, look,
Amazing.
yeah, look, it's so anytime you know, he does a lot of that.
I'm gonna go watch some
Yeah,
Sean
yeah.
Payton interviews now.
Relative to, so, but okay. So his philosophy: go for it. We're gonna go for it.
Yeah.
We got to score points. We got to keep pace. But at what point does an aggressive approach start to become stupid in a way? Because you're not, like, for example, for me, I like the first one when they went for it on fourth and 1 at the 44. They pitched the ball to Javonte, that little counter pitch thing that they do.
Yeah.
I don't like that play much, personally, but whatever. He almost got it. But then when you're going 4th and 4 on the 33, it's a 51-yard field goal. For some reason, he doesn't like letting Will Lutz take 50-plus yard field goals. I don't understand why. These kickers, they have the leg for it, right?
Yeah.
And you need those points, in my opinion. But they went for it there and they missed it. So the first 2 4th downs you go for, you miss. How, as a quarterback, and this is just me being Monday morning quarterback and bitching about it, but as a quarterback, a former NFL quarterback, how did you feel about a coach who was like, we're going to go for it on 4th down?
Yeah, I mean, if you know that going in, you know, it's not as hard to get shocked with, hey, we're going for it. I mean, I always wanted to go for it. You know, going for it was, those plays were intense and high risk reward. I think leaving points though, if you have a kicker that's good enough, and if Lutz is an accurate, good kicker, you know, it gives him a chance to be part of the team, because kickers sometimes are excluded until they are needed. They're just kind of off on their own, and they're kickers, you know. So you bring him in, he gets
because they're fucking kickers.
They're just kickers. Do your job.
And
just
then
do your job.
And then
so,
just
but they're not getting a chance to do that. And then down the road, there may be a chance, an opportunity for a 53-yarder to win, to make the playoffs. And now this guy's like, oh, now you're not going to go for it on 4th down, and now you're relying on me. And he's never had the practice. You know, there's something to that game time snap hold kick that's such an intricately timed out and
you were a holder.
Yeah, right? It's a masterful little thing you do there to get the ball down, get it tilted right, get the seams out.
Laces
out. Finkel and Einhorn.
Einhorn is Finkel.
Yes.
Your gun is digging into my hip.
So back to 4th downs. If you have good schemes, listen, if you have good schemes
relative to other schemes,
if you have good plays, then go for it, you know. And I mean, it's putting a lot of confidence into your quarterback. It's putting confidence into the offense. But when you're at field goal range, I believe if you got the kicker, that you take the points.
Take the points, man.
We needed points yesterday, not, you know, just a sustained drive.
Yeah.
Although I guess maybe their theory was keeping the Baltimore offense off the field, so if we can just get first downs and keep getting enough first downs and not score, that maybe they won't score 41. Lame.
They were moving the ball well in the first half, you know. And when you come out of those with 0 points, it's like, fuck.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will Lutz did have 1 field goal, 1 for 1. It was a 37-yarder. They showed his face up close right before, and he had a bat in the cave, dude. He had a freaking booger.
It's football, man. Probably had shitty.
No, I'm just saying, like,
shorts too.
Oh yeah, exactly. I'm just saying the fucking the high def lenses are like, there's no escaping that.
And did people, was there Twitter and all that going on?
No, nobody saw it.
Now you're bringing it up. They'll be like,
although
memes, boogie memes.
Well,
your
a couple weeks ago, Aaron boogers. Yeah, my son doesn't like to blow his nose, even when he has like boogers and snot in there. I'm like, I have to fucking hold him down and make him blow his nose, and he's like, all he's doing. I'm like, dude, and he's like, he blows out his mouth. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Keep your mouth closed and blow the snot.
You guys get a little. I'd love to see you in those moments, like you with your son. Lay down.
No,
I know. You talk rougher than you are. I know you're.
No. He's a sweetheart, but it's just like he's just kind of a wild kid and doesn't want to be touched or cleaned or washed. He doesn't want to wash his hands ever. Doesn't want to brush his teeth. He doesn't want to blow his nose. He doesn't. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that kind of. He wants to talk about poop and poopy butts and butt poops and fart.
Let him talk about it as long as he ain't playing with it.
No, he does not play with his poop.
Good.
That's his mom. She does. No, I'm just kidding. No, but
there's okay.
But there was a booger thing a couple weeks ago. Aaron Rodgers ate like it. He's like,
I saw that.
he's like, no, I wasn't eating my. Yeah, you fucking
Was
were.
it Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, he ate his fucking booger. Everyone fucking saw
Wasn't
it.
there another guy too? Was it Minshew that was doing that too?
What's up with quarterbacks being booger eaters, man?
Well, I got a close up on me when Keith Poole scored his first NFL touchdown. We were playing the Saints down there, and they panned over to me on the sideline, and I was knuckle deep getting one out.
Oh, is that right?
And everybody like, oh, I'm like, yo, you play quarterback with a plug nostril. It's not easy. You need to be able to breathe out there.
Yeah.
So get off my back. I was getting it out. This is football. It's dirty. Snot rockets, pissy pants, poop stains, blood,
Yeah.
guts.
Mm.
Not guts usually, but
Semen, just all of it. Just,
no, not semen either. You're disgusting.
You were just talking about all the bodily fluids, man.
Yeah,
I was
but
just
not
kind
that.
of.
You went to the further.
I was continuing the thread, man.
Earwax. I didn't go there. I mean, come on. But there's definitely it's a dirty game out there between the lines, and you know the guys that take their helmet off after a drive and they're like spend 5 minutes fixing their hair. They've never been any of my favorites, you know.
Like, who does that?
It's a nasty game. Watch them. You got all these QBs trying to keep their shit tight on the sideline. Like I didn't care, man. I was.
Yeah. You're a wild.
It was
man,
what
man.
it was.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get. I'm
Yeah.
a competitor. If I got a booger in my nose and I pick it and want to eat it, that's my right.
Oh,
You're paying millions to watch me do that. Shut up and meme it if you want.
you don't think it's weird?
It's gross. That's disgusting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Maybe he's just hungry. You
Maybe
know
he'd stashed a sunflower seed up there for later, and
Ugh.
we was just getting that out and eating it.
little sweet,
A
a
squirrel.
little sweet and salty.
Aaron the Squirrel Rogers has
Yeah.
his nut stashes all around.
Did you see that dude in New York who had like a pet squirrel for like 8 years, and he was like popular online, and then the New York like animal control came and seized it and killed it.
Ah,
Yeah, and he had a raccoon, and
there's
they
a lot of
killed the
people
raccoon
that
too.
train squirrels. Squirrels are wild, man. They're amazing little athletes.
Athletes,
Oh, they're probably the most agile athlete on the planet. You
are they
watch
able to
them.
like run sick routes and stuff?
If you taught them how, I've seen squirrels surfing and riding bikes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
damn. Yeah, I think I've seen a squirrel
Mark-
on like a
Mark
water ski or
Rober does an
something.
amazing. Mark Rober online and YouTube does a squirrel experiment where he's got all these stashes of nuts, and the squirrels have to work to get to him, and they're like
Oh.
tricky, and the squirrels learn it, man. They're amazing.
Man.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about something else that happened in the league because and it kind of talks about what we were with Olave and his concussions.
Yeah.
So Tua Tagovailoa, who's had multiple concussions, returned to the field yesterday, and really good game against the Buffalo Bills, but they lost 30-27, and Tua was able to play, and how well he did, I'll tell you right now. But Brandon Cristal, who's usually on this show, was talking about the idea that like, hey, like some people were saying that like, you know, he should come back as long as they're in playoff contention. As soon as they're like out of the playoffs, they should kind of let him shut him down for the season. To me, that sends a horrible message. Like, we only value your brain if we're in the playoff hunt. Once we're out of it, man, sit down, we're good. But if we're in the playoff hunt, get your ass out there. What are your thoughts on the Tua situation? Because Tua has had, I don't know, like quite a few documented concussions. Another one this year, 2, I think, different ones last year. But he was able to stay in the game, 25 of 28 yesterday, 231 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Dang.
You know, went to the wire with the Bills.
Did he take any hard hits? Did his head hit the ground? Was there any
that? I don't
collisions?
know. I didn't watch the game.
I mean, that's the most important thing. I mean,
but eventually you're going to.
yeah,
Right?
mean,
And so-
you know, those little wraps to the brain happen all the time, but he doesn't scramble a whole lot, you know,
No.
so he doesn't put himself at risk there, and he can manage, and looks like he played pretty damn good.
How would you advise someone like Tua, though, who's had multiple concussions? At what point do you realize that maybe this is the wrong? I'm in the wrong profession. Do you ever, or do you just let the last one heal and get back out there and keep doing it? Because eventually, you know, like once you have one, it's easier to have the 2 and the 3 and the 4. And once you become a guy who's always getting concussed, like Steve Young got pushed out of the league because of his concussions. Troy Aikman also, right? Famously, like these quarterbacks, they take hits in ways that other position players don't because they're sort of not prepared for it in the same way. They're sort of not with the same body lean, the same practice of getting hit, the same angles. Like they get caught at some weird angles. And one of the concussions Tua had was he like literally tried to lower his head and like pick up a couple extra yards and just didn't do it right. And he
Yeah.
just hit the side of his head into a guy's like thigh, right? Like what,
That was
because
his
he,
last one, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it just didn't look like a guy who
saw
was
that.
carrying a ball, right? Because he's not used to that.
And they're
world.
not getting any reps to do that. We
Right.
don't get reps on how to get sacked.
right.
It's just you either know how or you don't.
And
Some
so
guys don't.
are the rules, and you talked about this earlier about how a quarterback can manipulate the rules to get more yards because he knows he's not going to get hit. But are ultimately these rules that protect a quarterback making him more vulnerable in moments that are real football moments because he believes he's protected. He's not used to actually hitting like that. And his body's probably not cut out for it either. Is it making it worse on these guys trying to protect them?
It depends on your style of play. I would think right off to answer that is like Tua doesn't scramble. He's not a run and get the yardage guy if the play's not there. He's a throw it away and make the play the next one. So when he does get those opportunities, he's obviously shown that he's susceptible to concussions. And it's scary to see because he's cleared back ready to play. Yet all of the science behind concussions is that, it's not if you sprain your ankle real bad, you're out for 4 or 5 weeks. But if you get a concussion, you can be back in a couple weeks because your brain, do we know how fast it heals? Do we know what the serious ramifications are for getting concussed now on top of a pretty freshly swollen brain with fluid or whatever is going on in there? It's very concerning. But when your life is dedicated to this craft, to winning, to being the best, to wanting to win a Super Bowl, and whatever is driving that, if it's a childhood dream or if it's your overinflated ego, or if it's the ability to provide for your family and make a difference in the world with what they pay us, you have to think about your long-term health, as obviously there's reports coming that it could be detrimental to your long-term longevity and health. So living in the moment of the NFL and how we're taught to be in it now, because you don't give thought to tomorrow, not even to the next play. It's one at a time. It's right now. It's a scary position for him to be in. He obviously wants to play and is willing to accept that the ramifications there. And as I've said a long time ago, talking with you about concussions, why don't the players just sign like, hey, don't take me out of a game. This is my body. I am in control of this body. I decide if I go back on the field after concussion. And then you sign it so you can't go back and sue
You
now
think that
the
should
NFL
be the rule?
if a guy wants that.
What? He's not in his right mind to decide
So
that.
what, man?
What do you mean, so what? You're going to have him die on the field if he
No,
does that?
not die. There's
I
no way to-
would have.
Well,
You would have.
but my reason for that is that then you can't come back post career and sue the NFL for all these concussions that you incurred. I mean, let's sign the thing that says I'll be part of this concussion settlement, or I'll be able to be compensated, or whatever. Or you sign away their ability to tell you what you get to do with your own body and brain. Because there's guys. There's guys that get up all the time concussed. I see. You can watch them, and they don't leave the field.
Right.
They're
And
making a
doing
decision.
permanent
Right.
damage.
They're making a decision.
Well, because you just mentioned it. Okay, the money involved. The average career is 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of quarterbacks who play for 15 years and make $50 fucking million. But there's, for every one of those guys, there's 25 guys who play 1 year and are gone forever.
Yep.
So the incentive is for those guys to cover up their injuries, to try to make a couple more years of money.
Good point.
To be able to last them 5 years when they're done.
Tua's not playing for his financial security.
No. But the guys whose names you'll never hear, those guys are. And those guys are going to be broke 5-6 years after they're done playing. That money's not going to last.
Yeah.
A 3-year career doesn't give you lifetime money. A 5-year, 6-year, 7-year career doesn't even. It's those second and third big contracts that do. And so those players have an incentive to conceal the injury. Also, when you have a brain injury, you're not in your right mind.
Yeah.
And then also it's in the team's best interest to put players on the field who are healthy as well. So like saying like you're just gonna, be responsible for your own body and then you can never. Well, there's pressures that are existing behind you that make you kind of not in your right mind, not doing things in your own best interest. The things I would do on a football field are not in my own best interest. I was trying to prolong my career. I was trying to make my, dad, my coaches, everyone proud. I was trying to actualize my dream and reach some sort
Be
of
substantial
culmination
in some way that you
well, like
contributed
making
to
it
the
to the
game.
NFL is not enough. Like,
Yeah.
if your goal is to make it to the NFL and then you get there, you're not satisfied. That's not the only goal. The goal is to be the ultimate, to be on the top, to be, the Patrick Mahomes, like the guy who's making the winning play in the Super Bowl NFL player, not just the guy who made it. That's not enough. You always are leaving. Like when my career was over, I was pissed because I left so much good football out there. I was
Yeah.
playing my best football of my career when it ended. And so it's like most guys don't get to actualize the dream really, even though just making it is not achieving the dream. You want to succeed at the level you expect at that level.
But individually or as a team? I mean, because
The team success, but
obviously individuals want to have a long career and have something substantial left behind, but
do you
you
consider
also want to win a Super Bowl. So like
right,
a
exactly.
couple years and you win a Super Bowl. I mean, look, you, Nate Jackson, are off the field with Guerrilla Sports with the NFL brand in front of you for the rest of your life. Whether you had a substantial, crazy Hall of Fame career, made millions or not, that brand, as Rod Smith used to say, precedes you wherever you go.
Yeah.
And so it's not like everybody doesn't make all that money. No. And the average careers are short. But if you are able to understand the value of having that part of your resume that you were in the NFL, it can serve you for years and years. We
Absolutely.
only see the guys that are hyper successful,
Right. Yeah.
They don't make a bunch of Doritos and Pepsi commercials with like the run of the mill mid-level guys that could use the money.
Yeah.
They do it with the multi-billion millionaires that are like still pubbing shitty ass toxic food. And it's like, it's kind of a shame, the Hall of Famers and what they endorse, and even current players, but that's a whole nother show.
Well, the only companies really spending money are the shitty food companies.
And
when's the last time like a really quality fucking brand that did everything the right way put a bunch of money behind a former player or a current player? They don't spend the money.
And that goes to your thing. Like guys are going to make it while you can, make as much as you possibly can while you're in it. Take that sponsorship by a company that you don't even take or use because it's horrible, but they're going to pay you $500,000. There were times I turned down some things because I didn't align with what their message was. And will we see a conscious athlete really come out and do that and not be deemed weird or crazy because he's walking barefoot and more in touch with himself and the whole like society and consciousness out here? I don't know. I hope so. I think it's time that the consumers maybe start calling out some of these people but they're sick and suffering because they're eating all this shit and drinking all this shit. And there goes Peyton on every commercial. And I mean, Peyton and Dion, I think, are neck and neck.
Kentucky Fried Chicken, Subway.
They endorse like 15 or every other commercial is one of them, or maybe Mahomes. It's kind of wild to watch.
Why would you, if you had that much money already and everyone already worships you, why do you need one more fast food endorsement? Is it just to keep yourself out there and to keep your name in the business, like make yourself a ubiquitous? Like, because moving on from the game is hard. You feel your power diminish when you're no longer on the field. You're no longer a superhero. You can see the old tapes and we can talk about it, but I'm not doing it anymore. And so I feel my own power diminish. I'm not as valuable to the world anymore. I'm sorry.
Wanted.
Yeah.
Not coveted.
You're not.
Yeah.
And so do you think some of it is that the feeling, the diminished feelings of power that you're trying to account for?
It's ego driven a lot, some of it. I mean, but also enough. Is there any sort of word in our culture? When is enough enough? Like how much do you need? How much do you need to live comfortably and to live in a collectively together to make a difference while you're here? Like how much is enough? I don't know. These guys just keep going for more and for more, and why? That's just who they are. And I have no knock against them doing that. It's just, can one of you turn down a big, huge insurance corporation and actually like target some companies that are doing good in the world, really like trying to make a difference and help the climate, help the homeless, help the vets, like anything like that? I mean, it's just,
Nationwide is on your side. Chicken parm, it tastes so good.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's interesting.
But what about the
way
quarterback? So quarterback salaries are insane, and it's always
insane.
like an arms race to see which quarterback can make the most money. Sean Watson, $60 million. Jordan Love, 55. So when is a quarterback going to be like on a team, be like, no, I'm not going to take the $55 million contract. Give me 30 because that's enough for me. And give my boys the other 25 million per year, and let's all get rich and sign some players.
Bring in some
Some
talent.
badasses, right?
Yeah.
So when is we going to find a quarterback who does that?
I think there are some I hope that are doing that. I did that here with Denver. I went in and had a few times where we were negotiated and I dropped down some so we could bring guys in because I knew, like, who cares? I mean, I'd already signed a big contract with Arizona and put away the kind of money that you need for long-term financial security. So anything else was just more. And at the point where we were at, it was like, yeah, I did it a couple times because I knew that it was important that we had a solid running game. Because if not, then I was only so good, and I knew myself, I'm not good enough to carry this team and throw 55 times a game. I need a running back there to help me. I needed linemen. I need like defense. I need a good DB. So there were times I did that, and I hope that there are guys in the league doing that now because it would seem that way. And a lot of these huge contracts, a lot of it's pushed way out. It's not necessarily money in their hands right now.
Right.
But you see, Deshaun Watson's a great example. I mean, he has not done and lived up to that, but he's still getting paid.
Yeah,
and it's too bad because, like you said, there's on that 52-man roster, there's 10 that have the opportunity to maybe have like long-term financial success, and there's 42 that are going to have more injuries and less attention for those injuries when they happen, and then they're out of the league, and now they have to manage what little they have and look forward to the narrative that we are talking about of what it's like once you've had so many concussions and so many superpower feeling when you're hobbled and getting older and feeling those pains come back. And that's what worries me about these young athletes, even younger than pros, is like college. I heard someone say, oh yeah, this quarterback for some school just retired and he's in college, but yeah, he's been in it for 8 years already at a high level, pushing his brand, pushing his game, pushing everything about what he can do and become from when he's a ninth grader. Like, we forgot the game. We forgot how to play the game. It's all now an avenue to gain the ability to be Painting Manning. That's the dream now.
Peyton.
And no knock on Peyton. He, one of the greatest quarterbacks. I mean, as far as throwing the ball, master, one of the masters, and a great dude. Every time I see him, a great person. He's done a lot of really good, but that's now what people want. But
that's the goal, right?
Holy shit. Like, it's not attainable to every one of you. So make sure there's some enjoyment there, maybe some forethought to putting stuff aside for long-term your health and wellness, because like uninsured college athletes, they still have a lot of injuries, man. They still have a lot of things they are nursing. A ton of my teammates from ASU, we're all the same age, they're going through it. They're in a lot of pain because they don't have the money or the access to go get an MRI whenever I want, because the NFL will pay for that.
Yeah.
Or to go pay for my massage and acupuncture and yoga, and have company that I own that's supplying me with functional mushrooms that I believe are part of my whole holistic wellness. So, it's interesting because it's all now in the moment, and DraftKings and FanDuel and overanalyzing the fourth down odds, and the sunshine was at the wrong angle or else we would have got it. And like all of this data bullshit when it's just a game, and we forget that part of it. And I think why we connected is when we were playing, man. You could have put us on your street back when in your childhood, and we've been throwing bombs in the street between cars, or on the field in Cincinnati, Ohio, throwing bombs on the grass. It was still the same essence. And that's when I knew I was ready to go, is when it wasn't that anymore. But these guys, they're in it. And I'm entertained, so I'm not complaining.
but you have the perspective, that a
Yeah.
lot of people don't, and that's why it's so valuable when you do share it. I know you're doing some more sharing, and it's nice to have your name in the conversation because, like you were telling me recently, like you didn't realize how much you do know about football and all the shit that you learned and went through, and when you actually start paying attention to it and watching it, it's like, oh yeah, I have a PhD in this shit. I'm actually I have my doctorate. I'm
Professor
Professor Plummer.
Snake.
Professor Plummer. And then, you've, as they say, forgotten more about football than most people know. But it is important to have someone who offers that perspective that you're doing today. So I appreciate you coming on off field and joining us
course.
today and talking about it. Before we
Thank
get out
you.
of here, Jake, Broncos, lose 41-10, come home. This was an exciting game because people were thinking it would be a litmus test and what are they going to learn about themselves? Well, what did they learn? How do you respond from that? Because they got the Chiefs coming up this week, and that's a very important game. The Chiefs are undefeated, at least as of now. They play tonight. What are the Broncos? How do you get back to work after a loss like that and get ready for the Chiefs?
Well, it's going to start with your leader and signal caller and number one quarterback. I mean, if Bo comes in back today and doesn't skip a beat and gets back at it and leads these guys, then, we're going to see the effort we want to see on Sunday. Will they win? I don't know. It's the effort that I want to see. I want to see guys playing hard for each other and giving a shit when they miss a tackle. And I see that. I see guys getting upset, which I like to see, because when you're upset and you're showing that visibly on the field, it means that you want it, and it's important to you. So that's the most important thing, is how do they come back after this? And, it's Chiefs. It's the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs. Of course, it's the Chiefs. They're a damn good football team. They're well coached. Anything that worked for the Ravens or that maybe didn't work and was an okay play, Andy Reid is a master, and his staff is going to find those plays. But it's all about growing. I think Bo took some steps. I played in a lot of games where we were down 41-10, and you're still in the game as a starter, having to drop back, knowing they're coming after you. But it was a chance to learn not only a little bit about myself, but also about my teammates who cashed it in. You can feel that on the sideline. And when you feel it and you see those guys on the sideline, those are the ones you talk to. Those are the ones you maybe have a little bit of a coarse word for, or the next time you're in those situations where it starts to get like that you get them to get their asses off the bench and actually give a fuck. And so you can learn a lot by getting your ass kicked, like way more than when you win. And hey, it's just one loss. They're going to lick their wounds, come back, and I'm excited to see how they handle the Kansas City Chiefs. But it's a learning experience. It's not the end of the world. We got more games left. But Bo, I think, showed me, like, he wants to win. And when your number one dude wants it that bad, that's infectious. That's the standard that's set to work and keep working.
And the Broncos fall to 5-4, but still a lot of football left this season. The Chiefs coming up this weekend, and we're going to be bringing it to you Wednesday, Friday on Off Field, every week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Liv wasn't here today, as you can tell. BK, no BK. But Jake joined us admirably. Jake Plummer, thank you for joining us today on Off Field. That's Jake.
Thank you, Nate.
I'm Nate. It's Guerrilla Sports Off Field. See you next time, relative to Sports Talk. See you later.